Hello everyone, in this video I'll be rating all of Sengoku Fubu's SP Heroes. The criteria will be relevancy to the current meta, which focuses on dealing the most amount of damage in the shortest possible time. This tier list will rate them individually with few considerations for in-game buffs like ukiyo-e. This tier list scope will encompass only Shonagon and below and will not assess the ratings of these SP Heroes in Daifu level and above. Now, we will start with the decisive battle of Sekigahara SP Heroes. For how exactly my tier list will work, I will explain. First of all, the best of the best will be rated as S or meta. The second one will be good, A, fine, B, out of meta, C, and those SP Heroes that are terrible will be rated as D or bad. SP hero that will be rated will be Kobayakawa Hideaki. Not exactly bad, he's not exactly good either. He's more of a cheese pick, which works if you want to counter a specific type of lineup. This is the formidable Tokugawa Ieyasu. While he can deal an insane amount of damage and also provide sustain, his 3 Ogi skill needs a lot of time to work, making him vulnerable to enemies that can deal damage in a single Ogi. This is Otani Yoshitsugu. He's not remarkable in what it's able to do. Although he can deal a lot of damage, other SP heroes can do more. Next is Ishida Mitsunari. First, I wanted to rate him as out of meta, but considering his self-sustain, he's able to last more in fights. Our next set of heroes, we will rate the 4 Guardians of Tokugawa, starting with Lee Naomasa. The rise of pinnacle heroes drove most of physical damage dealer SP heroes out of the meta, especially Lee Naomasa. It is simply the consideration of cost effectiveness which made them out of meta. This is Sakakibara Yasumasa. His ability to deal crowd control like Seal makes him especially valuable, but it takes a lot of time to activate. We have Sakai Tadatsugu. Before the release of Pinnacle Masamune, he was a nightmare to everyone. And although he has fallen out of favor, he is still a formidable nightmare to deal with. His ability to shred everyone makes him meta, S. Finally, we have Honda Tadakatsu. He will be rated fine above Lee Naomasa because of his ability to snipe backline targets. This is especially valuable when prioritizing high damage dealer enemies. Next up is the Siege of Osaka heroes, starting with Toyotomi Hideyori. He can deal an insane amount of damage to high priority targets. Unfortunately, he can only do so by being buffed by Encourage and Hearten. Next is Sanada Yukimura. He's a cheese pick made to counter physical damage dealing heroes. Although he can also work against enemy mages because of the buff usually provided by SP heroes. Next is Yodo Dono. I've rated him much lower than Sanada Yukimura because the former has canon units, making his ability impossible to ignore. Although I can understand if this take is somewhat controversial. The final one is Senhime. And I will also rate her the same as Yodo Dono because she is only a cheese pick versus mage opponents. Next we have the Genpei War heroes, starting with Taira Noritsune. He is already out of meta because his damage takes a long time to activate. Similarly, Minamoto Yoshitsune falls out of favor when compared to the cost effectiveness of pinnacle heroes. Although that will not be the same for his brother Minamoto Yoritomo. His ability to apply Bloody Fight to friendly heroes in the rear makes him very valuable. Finally, his sworn enemy, Taira Kiyomori. His ability to buff and debuff is not remarkable, but combined together and it makes him very competitive. Next up is the Crimson Ninja Scrolls heroes, starting with Fuma Kotaro. His ability to emanate damage to 2 enemies as the least troops makes him a formidable opponent. Paired with light speed, and he can easily clean up low health enemies. Next is Hattori Hanzo. His ability to deal an impressive amount of damage and buff his allies makes him a worthy to include in your lineup. Next is Sarutobi Sasuke. His extreme buffs makes him very valuable, easily placing him S tier. This hero restores health, applies hidden, applies warding which prevents debuff and also increase damage through Master Stroke. Finally, we have Ishikawa Goemon. While he can easily destroy most enemies, it requires him a lot of time to activate, making him out of the meta. While some others may argue about his usefulness and advantages, he is still easily vulnerable.